Good day everyone, no? So welcome to our first session and yung discussion natin, no, pertaining to communication process in the context of internal auditing. So as mentioned in the previous week, no, so most likely you have already encountered communication process kasi you also have your speech com class. So some of you already took it in your college days. So well, college pa rin naman kayo. So first year. And some of you no, I tried to ask also questions sa mga previous sections. Iba sa kanila nung senior high. So meron ng speech com class. So good thing, no. So this time, what you have learned so far from the speech com class, i-revisit natin. Pero this time, again, I'll be injecting some concepts relating to internal auditing. Paano naman kapag we have comms, no, pagdating sa internal auditing function. Now, for the learning objectives we have here, we need first to understand the fundamentals of communication in internal auditing. Yeah, I know, no, you know already the fundamentals of communication. But then again, revisit natin paano naman siya sa internal auditing, no? Next, again, we need to explain the communication process model. So we use here linear model, no? So mamaya papakita ko sa inyo. Next, you also need to identify the responsibilities of senders and receivers in communication. So, sino bang sender natin dito? So, dito pag-uusapan natin, it's more of the auditor. Now, sino ang receiver? So, most likely it's your audit client. Okay? So, and paano naman yung responsibilities to make sure that the message being conveyed upon by the sender will be accurately or somehow will be close to the intention of the sender to the receiver's understanding. Okay? Next, we also need to differentiate between internal and external communication network. So dito sa syllabus, pinag-usapan natin yung internal and external communication network. But before we go to that, we need to discuss what first is communication network. Okay? Next, we also need to discuss here or to recognize and address common communication problems. So I think some of here familiar naman na kayo. So marinig dito yung mga barriers, no, misinterpretation. So nandiyan yan. So tatlo yan, no. We need to discuss this as well. Next, we need to also discuss here relating to what are the possible solutions can we implement to such communication problems that we can really encounter, particularly lalo na pagdating sa internal auditing. And the last topic that we'll be discussing will be how to develop effective listening skills. So in here, we have to consider three listening skills na dapat nating dala-dala when we do our internal audit work. Okay. Now, first things first, what is communication muna? And this is coming from the definition of J. Keaton in 2011. No, in here he mentioned no that communication. Let me read. No, is the process by which information, not only information, pwede ring ideas, pwede rin yung thoughts that we have in our mind or yung mga insights, pwede rin naman what are we feeling right now or what are the emotions na meron tayo that can be exchanged that are exchanged no between individuals, not only individuals but as well as group, no, through a common system of it can be symbols. So we use 'di ba words o pwede ring symbols in terms of emoticons, pwede rin namang non-verbal cues like signs, or pwede rin namang through manifestation through our behavior. So doon lang pwede na nating ma-communicate yung whatever we feel right now, no? Next, also in here, there's also a definition wherein communication involves a sender who encodes a message and transmit it through a medium to a receiver who decodes and interprets the message. So, 'di ba familiar? So kung babasahin natin itong second sentence, it refers to the communication process model, which later I'll be discussing each of these elements in the model. No? So I think yung iba sa inyo dito familiar na rin. Pero paano naman siya pagdating sa auditing? Next, in here, remember as the advocate or the one who promotes no the internal auditing function, communication or effective communication is essential for understanding, collaboration, and functioning of relationships and also as well as organization. So please do remember that through effective communication, we can magnify the importance of internal audit. Kasi from there, no, if we really achieve our objectives by adding value, through improving operations, paano natin gagawin yun? Diba? Remember, we need to have an effective communication so that there will be or there will be a collaboration among the members of the organization to have an effective functioning of each department. So it also goes with internal auditing. Okay, so very effective din ang through effective communication, no, through collaboration, then there will be an effective functioning of the internal audit. Now, so in here we have here the communication process model. So sabi natin kanina sa second sentence of our definition, it considers these elements, no? So basically this model demonstrates that communication is not just only a one process, but it's more of a two-way process, or it involves a series of steps that require considerable or careful consideration of how message will be created, transmitted, and eventually be received, no? So the effectiveness of the communication actually depends on each of these elements, on how it is being handled, no? From encoding the message up until receiving feedback from the receiver of the message. So basically, this model is also referred to as the linear communication model. So it outlines communications that occurs between the source of the information, or what we call the sender, and the receiver of the message. Okay, so let's discuss each of this element, no? So una, syempre, we need to discuss the source of the information, or what we call the sender. So when we talk about the source or the sender, basically, ito yung originator of the message. So pwedeng si auditor, right? So pwedeng based from the results of the audit, then the auditor will now present those findings or information, no? The source is also, or the sender is also, the person or the entity who has this information, pwedeng idea, or pwedeng a thought or feeling that they wish eventually to communicate to someone else, no? So this information, idea, or message, it can we can somehow how do I say this? Represent it through a message. Now, that message coming from the sender, no, pwedeng idea or thought pa lang, it shall be encoded. Wherein through encoding, no, that's the third element, no, um, this process will involve the sender or the source of the message converting their message. So yung message yan, thoughts, ideas, information, into a form that can be transmitted. So those message can be converted or converted into words, no? So yung thought mo medyo ano ka, no, hindi ka at ease or galit ka. So if you want your thoughts or expressions or your feelings to be translated into a form that can be, transmitted, no, it shall be sorry, translated or converted into words. So pwede mong sabihin, I am angry. So angry ka talaga kasi yun yung nararamdaman mo, yun yung nafe-feel mo ngayon. Okay? So this might involve also not only words, as well as it can be symbols, it can be also image. So if you are more of a visual, no, pwede din naman gesture. So pwede hindi mo sabihin, pero it is manifesting through your body language. Okay? So this representation of your idea or thoughts into words, symbols, image, and gestures represents the intended message. Essentially, the encoding process is a crucial one because it transforms your thought again into a more communicable form. Okay, next. Now that your message has been converted, no, this message will now go through what we call the channel. No, yung channel, no, hindi yan yung TV. It is a medium, no, through which the message is transmitted from the sender or the source of the information to the receiver of the message. So the channel could be verbal or non-verbal. Meaning pag verbal, pwedeng in person or face-to-face. puwede rin namang, phone call. Puwede rin naman tulad ngayon 'no, kahit hindi tayo magkita in person, at least, we do it, online 'no. At least, we I'm discussing it, through Teams. So this is more of a verbal channel. Now, we can also transmit it using a non-verbal 'no, or non-verbal communication. So puwedeng report, puwedeng text message, puwede ngayon 'di ba uso social media, so you can express your thoughts freely in the internet through social media. Puwede na naman yung common sa atin 'no, sa internal audit, it's your audit report or what we call the written document 'no. So sa external auditor, it's your, auditor's report to the financial statement. Now, sa internal audit, it can, be in any form as long as it is an audit report. Okay? So puwedeng, through the audit report, it's a medium, it's a channel wherein you transmit those information or converted information. Okay, now from the channel, now we go with decoding. So decoding is the process wherein the receiver will now interprets and make sense of the message. So later i-discuss pa natin kasi may mga certain factors that can influence definitely the decoding. Okay, so later i-discuss natin yung context yung nandito sa part na yan. Now when I talk again of the decoding, no, it involves the receiver translating the encoded message back to its meaningful thoughts or ideas. So for example, no, si auditor nagsabi ng or nag-issue ng um, audit report, no? So nandun yung mga pwedeng list of findings. Now, those list of findings na in written form, no? The reader of that audit report will now try to decode it and translate it and give meaning to it. So interpret na yun ngayon. Kung ano yung pagkakaintindi sa audit report, um, syempre it will depend on certain or several factors, then eventually, dun niya maintindihan yung message. Of course, importante na may context. So yun later i-discuss ko. Okay? So successful communication usually occurs when the receiver's interpretation really matches with that of the sender's message or intention. Kunwari, pag sinabing may ineffective communication, ineffective control na nasa internal audit report at binasa yun ni receiver or the one who reads the message, most likely kapag binasa yung ineffective communication, alam niya dapat yung ibig sabihin ng ineffective communication. So kung alam niya ibig sabihin ng kung may find ng ineffective controls, so most likely, kung tama yung pagkakaintindi niya based sa context na meron siya at sa background na meron siya, so we speak of the context, so most likely, tama dapat yung maging interpretation ng receiver. Okay, so dapat may context din. Now, the receiver, basically the next element, yung ika-6 natin, tama ba? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tama, 6 kasi kasama si message eh. Si receiver is the one who is receiving the message sent by the source or the sender. Okay, so it can be an individual or also a group. So the effectiveness of communication is determined by how accurately the receiver of the message understands the message. Okay, now we go with the next element, which we call the feedback. When we talk about feedback, it is the response of the receiver back to the sender. So pwedeng in-inform na pwede siyang more of asking question, pwedeng more of clarificatory question lang just to understand what the sender intends to convey to the receiver of the message. So the feedback also indicates whether the message was understood correctly and allows the sender to know if the communication was successful or if further clarification is needed. So the thing here is that, di ba, in a classroom setup, so most of the time kung napapansin nyo, di ba, ang professor usually nagtatanong sa dulo, asking if really, or throwing questions if really the students understood the discussion or understands the discussion. 'Di ba? Pansin niyo laging nagtatanong 'yan kasi of course 'pag nagdi-discuss 'yan, ang gusto niya same kayo dapat ang understanding. Ang purpose and kaya siya nagtatanong at least, parang ano siya, to check whether, naintindihan ba talaga yung gusto ng, i-convey niyang message sa mga students. So, kaya gano'n ang mga, usually teachers or instructors or professors sa dulo nagtatanong. Minsan nga during class, eh. Minsan nga hindi mo pa nga lang nagtatanong na kasi ang assumption niyan dapat nagbasa ka beforehand, 'no? So, gano'n siya. So also feedback completes the communication loop, no? Remember, this is a loop, no? So through feedback kasi doon natin malalaman if ever si sender will make further action pa. Let's say for example, kung may tanong si receiver, mag-feedback yun sa kanya kay sender, si sender dapat magsasagot. So it's a loop also. So pwede ring si receiver, no, nakatanggap ng question kay source kung naintindihan, kung nag-nudge siya, so meaning puwedeng okay na yung communication process, puwedeng matapos na kay sender kasi nakuha niya yung feedback from the receiver na naintindihan niya yung message. Okay. Now, we go sa context. Now, sa context is also an important aspect of the communication process model kasi it refers to a situation or the environment wherein the communication takes place. It includes the physical setting as well, no? Kunwari, yung classroom setup, kung lahat maingay, so alam nating medyo it's a problem, no? Na baka hindi maintindihan ni receiver yung message na inintend na isend ni sender sa kanya. So it will depend, no? Of course, if the classroom is quiet and pwede nating sabihin na um, it's a good platform where communication can take place, then good. Okay yung physical setting. Pwede rin namang social context. Sa atin, social context, of course, when we talk about the communication process model in the context of internal audit, ang context natin or yung social context natin is the internal auditing profession. So we are citing examples kanina that your sender could be your auditor, and the one who is receiving or who listens to the report or the one who reads the report of the auditor, it's the receiver. Okay? So pwede rin namang the other way around, no? Pwede naman ang sender ngayon kapag nag-post ng question si client, no? Ito ay dapat ma-receive ni auditor. Okay, so pwedeng yun yung social context. And of course, yung encoding and decoding of message, no, you need to provide context, no? Let's say for example, if these are audit findings, then you know how to write findings based from the standard. So yun yung magiging social context mo. The same goes with decoding such message going back to the receiver. Okay? So good thing, of course, in between this, no, of course, we will have some discussion pertaining to certain barriers. Ang assumption kasi dito, in an ideal setup, perfect yung ating situation or ang environment. So later, di-discuss pa natin yon, no? So kasama rin yung cultural background. We also need to consider the context. Okay? Which eventually can influence how the message is encoded, transmitted, and eventually be decoded by the receiver. So context also plays a vital role, no, in the where communication process will take place. Okay. Now we go with the sender receiver responsibilities. By the way guys, no, I'll be giving the handout naman for this one. Pero for this case kasi maganda na i-discuss ko muna siya sa inyo before I give the handout, no. Eventually I'll be giving the handout most likely the end of the week. Meron naman kayong handout nito and the PowerPoint. Now, for the sender responsibility, remember that their responsibility is to make sure that they convey their message or information clearly and accurately. So dapat clearly and accurately, ha. So that's why sa professors, 'di ba, pag nagbibigay ng instructions, so dapat very clear din. If there are any questions, so maganda kung clarificatory lang, so good. Pero kung hindi, most likely baka hindi talaga clear or accurate yung information or yung instruction. Now, in the context of audit naman, as senders of this message, they must ensure that the communication are really clear, concise, and um, free from vagueness or ambiguity. So basically clear, no? Clean lang talaga yon. So if you want your stakeholders to really understand you, and maganda, unang presentation pa lang, naintindihan na yung message mo or yung findings na you are reporting. So magandang clear dapat yung message na gusto mo dapat i-convey. So basically, yun lang yung sender responsibility, that the sender shall make sure that the message is clear and accurate and free from ambiguity. Now, in the case of the receiver responsibility, remember, dapat yung receiver, dapat may context din. So dapat well, aside from sender using simple words, no, easy comprehensible or usable information, Then gano'n din si receiver dapat. Dapat si receiver, ang assumption is that when the receiver sends a clear message, dapat si receiver accurately dapat nag-i-interpret din ng message, and through accurate interpreting the information, there will be a, um, a better understanding of that communication. Okay, so dapat accurate yung ma-interpret niya at maintindihan yung message na gustong i-convey ni sender sa kanya. Now, remember, in the receiver responsibility we put in the context of audit, we have here the auditee or the audit client or the stakeholders that eventually, once the auditor present the finding, will seek or shall seek further clarification when needed and provide feedback to confirm understanding, ensuring ensuring that the communication loop is complete. Kasi kailangan talaga ng feedback after maintindihan ni receiver yung or makuha ni receiver at maintindihan ni receiver yung message, dapat may feedback na ibigay through confirmation or uh, seeking further clarification. So siguro isang example ko rito, remember, okay, meron kasi ako napagalitan. So hindi ko na i-mention 'yun 'no. One time kasi sabi ko, "Uy, so they email me about certain matters." So nag-reply naman ako. So nung una okey lang sa'kin kasi hindi ako naman very specific na magbigay ng, okey lang sa'kin kasi they requested something, eh. Tapos I replied, then walang acknowledge. Now nung second communication kasi this time, I communicate to them na I'll be requesting to do certain task. So nung afterwards ginawa nila yung task tapos, hindi sila respond. So parang sabi ko, this time I'll be, very, anong tawag mo dun? Um, Very tact about it kasi napapansin ko walang feedback na nangyayari. So sabi ko medyo pinagalitan ko yung group, sabi ko, "Guys 'no, I need certain kahit acknowledgement lang or reply to your message kasi I don't know, what is your take on the things that I communicated to you. Are you okay with it or not?" So parang sa akin kasi, sabi ko sa kanila, communication is really important. Kasi medyo na-compare ko lang kasi sila sa ibang group, Kasi sabi ko yung ibang group talagang nagre-reply, ito kasi hindi. So sabi ko, "Bakit gano'n?" So, I tried to really correct them on that aspect lang. But they are good in terms of, I think in terms of, uh, um as a group, okay sila. Pero of course, remember yung communication, if you want to promote and be an advocate for internal auditing function, dapat effective communicators tayo. So remember, in the communication process model to this process, dapat may feedback loop. Kahit sabihin mong wala na siyang hinihisig, it's better to give a feedback. Kahit acknowledgement lang, kahit tapos na yung message, para acknowledge mo lang na thank you, kahit okay lang yun. I mean, enough response na thank you, enough naman na yun, eh. Yun lang talaga yun. Okay? So yun yung sinasabi ko, to close the communication loop or to complete the communication loop, provide feedback. Okay? Just to make sure that you are on the same page, you have the same understanding. Okay? And no, and somehow at least ang assumption nun, there's no more further clarification. At least mako-close yung communication loop natin. Okay? So that's it, no? Now we go with the communication network. So also communication network, kasi sa syllabus natin, meron kasi doong internal communication network and external communication network. But before we delve into that, we need to first discuss what is communication network. When we talk about communication network, this refers to how information flow within the organization. So paano ba yung flow ng information natin? So dito nyo yung marinig yung vertical, horizontal, may diagonal, minsan may lateral, may upward and downward. So which is which, no? So later di-discuss ko yan. So in here, information within organization generally flows through a system. So it follows a system. It's just not a free flow, no? Ano yun, abrupt na biglang lilitaw. Of course, it follows a system. So when we talk also of communication network, it also pertains to regular patterns of person-to-person relationship through which information flows in an organization. So later may example ako nito, papakita ko sa inyo para mas maintindihan nyo itong communication network. Now, to better understand communication network, now let me discuss this diagram. No? So I definitely may reference naman ako for this photo. No? So I took a snip of it and This is very crucial in our discussion of communication network. Okay. When we talk again of communication network, so it's a link of all the sender and receivers within a network or within a group, no? And your communication can be categorized as internal communication or as external communication. Now, itong diagram to, actually, it outlines again the, let me ano lang, no, explain this one. It outlines the structure of the organization's communication network. Highlighting yun nga, the internal and communication network. And with internal communication, it is further divided into formal and informal communication uh, channels, no? Emphasizing the importance of structured information flow within the organization. So dito mapapansin nyo, no, may formal and informal tayo. Now, with external communication, it focuses on the organization's communication to external stakeholders. And understanding this network is really crucial for ensuring that there's a clear, consistent, and effective communication both within the organization and within the external parties. So, unahin natin 'tong ano, 'tong internal communication. So, yung internal communication, basically, yung communication nasa loob ng organization. So, ang involved dito ay mga stakeholders within the organization, meaning employees, managers, kung sino pa man yung nasa kasama rin ng internal audit, nandito rin sila. So it also shows how different departments, teams, and employees communicate with one another. And it's also crucial yung internal communication for operational efficiency and ensuring that all members of the organizations are aligned with the goals and objectives. Yun naman yung ano natin, habol natin, di ba? Just like with internal audit, we make sure that we add value. And remember, how do we add value? Again, improving operations. And how do we improve operations? We make sure that the audit objectives are also aligned with the objective or strategic objectives of the organization. So that's how we can add value. Okay. Now, in the formal organization, we have three, no? So we have the horizontal communication, vertical communication, and diagonal. Yung horizontal, it can be represented by a line na nakahiga. Meaning lateral siya. Yung vertical yung patayo. So yung communication pwedeng pataas, pwedeng pababa. So dito magfo-fall under yung upward and downward communication sa vertical, while the lateral communication, it's more of horizontal. Now, with the third type, no, yung formal communication natin na diagonal, para siyang hybrid ng vertical. Basically, pag pinag-uusapan kasi natin ng formal communication, dalawa lang yan, horizontal and vertical. But yung vertical natin, pwede nating i-hybrid kasi pwede kasing ang assumption sa vertical kasi, ang communication is within the function. Now, what if there's a communication that crosses that function? Meaning, si accounting staff makikipag-usap kay marketing manager. So that is a diagonal. Pero iba yung ano ha, manager to manager, that is more of horizontal. Meaning, they are both at, the communication takes place within the same hierarchical level. Meaning, manager to manager, vice president to vice president. Okay? So yan, in-explain ko na siya in that detail, no? Now, we go with the horizontal communication. Then again, no, yung horizontal communication, it occurs when there's a communication between employees or departments at the same hierarchical level. Meaning manager to manager, vice president to vice president. So usually kasi pag horizontal communication or lateral communication, most likely this is more of a collaborative effort yan. Possible maraming pwedeng maraming purpose yan, pwedeng to solve an issue or a problem that involves two different function. Okay? So pwedeng tumatawid sa ibang function kasi or pwede within the same function pero ang main premise here is that it is a communication between employees within the same level or hierarchical level within the organization. So through horizontal communication, it fosters or demonstrates collaboration and coordination. Now we go with the vertical communication. So yung vertical, pwedeng upward, pwedeng downward. So this is type of communication that flows between the different levels of the organizational hierarchy. So hindi na natin nire-regard yung hierarchical level kasi hindi na siya same. So pwedeng it's a communication between the same function such as kunwari auditing, no? Internal audit na function wherein mag-uusap ang audit staff at ang chief audit executive. So yung communication na yun, it's more of a vertical type of communication. So it includes both upward communication, meaning from employees or low-level management to the top-level management. Pwede din namang downward, meaning from the top management na communication pababa, papunta sa subordinate or sa low levels of management. Okay? Now we go with the hybrid na hybrid type naman, yung diagonal. Yung diagonal naman, ang assumption para siyang vertical na yun yung diagonal, pwede kasing hindi involve ang same function. Pwedeng magkaibang function. Talagang nag-cross ng function, pero hindi same ng level. Example, sabi ko kanina, nag-usap ang accounting manager at ang marketing officers or staff kasi they work on a certain project. So that is a type of diagonal communication. Iba yung accounting manager and marketing manager. That is more of a horizontal communication. So hopefully medyo naintindihan natin to, no? Okay. Now we go with the informal communication. When we speak of informal communication, ano kayang sample ng informal communication? Tingnan nga natin kung naalala nyo pa yung speech com class nyo. Ano yung example natin ng informal communication? Tingnan ko yung chat box, no? Sige. O recitation to. So ano example natin ng informal comms? Informal communication. Naging English professor tuloy ako. So, what is an example of informal communication, guys? Sige, nag-aabang ako sa chat box. An example? Wala? Okay, parang tulog yata. Huwag mahiya, okay lang. Pwedeng mag-unmute, pwedeng mag-chat. Okay. Tama si Shakina Macy, no? Gossip po. Tama yun, no? So, eto kasi, yung formal communication, it goes through a formal process. Kasi pwedeng, ang channel mo, may meeting kayo, pwede kayong may interview or inquiry. So, that is more of a formal type of communication. Pero if it is not related to work, pwedeng ganun, that is what we call informal. So, pwedeng ganun, no? Pwedeng hindi siya duman sa formal way of communication. Pwedeng gossip, pwedeng grapevine, those are uh, the same naman. Pero may times, pwede na namang yung informal communication just to build rapport, no? Meaning, um, well, let me discuss first what is an informal communication. So this is more of unofficial channel of communication that can occur really in an organization. So ang common nga nito, sabi natin gossip, pwedeng grapevine, parehas lang naman yun. Pero that is on a negative connotation. Pero of course, merong positive connotation yan. Now, sabi ko nga, it can build rapport. Lalo na if you want to build trust, no? To a certain people within the organization. Lalo na tayo, 'di ba? Audit. Remember, pinag-usapan natin yung orientation na very ano ba yung tawag natin sa audit, no? Very intimidating kasi ang internal audit kasi nga sinasabi nila fault finder tayo. Pero remember, kung if we are effective communicators, we can somehow lessen that kind of stigma or shatter, no? Shatter, social, no? So ibig sabihin, if we try to build that kind of relationship with our stakeholders, so there's this based on experience or based from experience, pwede kasing hindi naman sobrang close, pero kapag when you try to request certain inquiry or documents that you will review, hindi na ganun kahirap. At least kasi you try to build that trust and relationship with the client. Okay? So how do we build that kind of rapport or trust, no? Example nito, based experience, if you have if you will have if you will have an encounter, no, with your future stakeholders or audit clients, no, better to have not really feel close, no, or feeling close, but it's more of build on a certain interest na meron si stakeholder. For example, kung alam mo na you will have a future dealings with the accounting manager kasi you will perform financial audit, better na kapag na-encounter mo siya is to initiate a discussion or parang a small talk na ano ba yung ano ba yung pwedeng interest ni accounting manager. So dito parang stalker tayo, pwede tayong alam natin or we interviewed some people na interesado si accounting manager sa golf. So better to start a discussion that would spark interest doon sa ating um, tao sa nakakausapin. So pwedeng mag-start yung discussion or small talk with golf. So ganoon. At least kapag napag-usapan niyo lagi, somehow makakapalagay ang loob mo yung stakeholder mo. So that's how uh, informal communication or unofficial channel of communication can really help, or beneficial sa atin as auditors to build relationship and even also moral. Okay? So that is with internal communication. So now we go with external communication. So when we talk about external communication, kung kanina, ang internal communication is people people that are in the organization. Ito namang mga ito, mga stakeholders or people that are outside organization. So example nito would be prospect customers, no? Pwedeng customers na already, pwedeng suppliers, pwede rin naman of course yung investors. Investors are external to the organization. So they are part of external communication. The same goes with media and even the general public, yung mga pwedeng stockholders ng ating company, na involved tayo. So lalo na kung publicly listed 'yan. So this type of communication is very vital, lalo na if the company or the organization wants to maintain that public image. Also managing their reputation as well and ensuring effective interactions with external stakeholders. So dito rin mag-fall under si external auditor. They're external to us. So yung communication ni internal auditor at ni external auditor, these are considered as part of the external communication. So external communication can be in the following forms, pwedeng through advertising. When we talk about advertising, it is communicating with the public the various forms of media to promote the products or service na meron ang company. Of course, if we want the company to sustain, we need really advertisement, just to make the public know about the product or service offerings that the organization is currently having or are currently having rather. Now we also have here another example or a type of external communication which we call media interaction. So yung media interaction, so para tong more of press release or you invite certain press or media outlets to share information about the organization. So pwedeng nag-offer ng kunwari example, pwede ring promotion of the products and services. So at least meron tayong sinet na press to make the public know about the products and services that are offered by the organization or our client. So the same goes also kapag may mga pwede ito issues or scandals na involve ang organization, and of course the organization want to manage its public image, so dahil may public image ang company and they don't want to tarnish that public image, so they want to have this media interaction to share information about their take or position on certain issues or scandals surrounding that organization. So pwede itong media interaction. Okay? So parang feeling ko mass comm professor ako ngayon. So now we go with public relations. So public relations is somehow related also to media interaction. So yung public relation, it's more of managing also the public image and reputation of the company through strategic communication. So yung public relation, one part dyan is media interaction. So yung public relations, marami pa yan. So just to make sure na magiging maganda yung reputation public image. So isang example din ng public relation, aside from the media interaction is the corporate social responsibility or the CSRs. So yung CSR, it's also a public relation activity. Okay. The next will also be included here, another external communication is presentation. So yung presentation pwedeng in a formal setting, it's a presentation to our prospect customers. If you want to win that customer, pwede din namang presentation in the case of internal audit if they want to communicate to the external auditor. For example, sa external auditor, they want to rely on the work of the internal auditor, then they can request for such meeting with the internal auditor to present the results of their audit findings with regard to test of controls. Kasi a test of controls ng internal auditor, may bearing yan sa magiging test na gagawin ni external auditor. So, pwedeng mag-present din talaga si internal auditor kay external auditor. Okay? So, aside from that, pwede rin mag-present sa mga prospect investors if the company wants to um, get or obtain additional external financing or basically financing. So yun, they need to present the company, no? Dapat mabango. Okay, so ganun siya. The same goes, another type of external communication, eto letter. So this is more of a formal written communication used to convey message, no, to external parties. So pwedeng ang nag-send ng letter is regulatory body, pwede din namang vendor or customer. So example natin dito pwedeng si regulatory body. Example would be BIR. Si BIR meron silang inquiry sa client na asking for taxable revenues and allowable deduction. So nag-inquire sila. So yun, external communication yan. And when we try to respond also, it is also through letter. So that's also an external communication. So hopefully, naintindihan natin tong diagram to. So ayan, may mga na-cite na tayong examples para maintindihan natin yung mga internal and external comms. Okay, now we go with kung ano talaga yung nasa ano natin, no, syllabus, yung what is upward, downward, and even lateral communication. So to properly distinguish these three, so ayan, in tabular form, we need to discuss this one. So sabi natin kanina, yung lateral communication, it is also what we call horizontal communication. Now, with upward and downward communication, this is a subcategory or subtype of what we call the vertical communication. So, ayan, in a tabular form, we differentiate. Now, in terms of direction, ang lateral communication, the communication happens between employees on the same hierarchical level. So, this also holds true dun kanina sa sinabi ko na sa vertical, ang nag-usap manager to manager, vice president to vice president, officer to officer. Now, in terms of the downward communication, ang communication nag-initiate from the superior to the subordinate. Now, for the upward communication, kabaliktaran ng downward, no, or what we call the bottom up, no, from subordinate to the superior. Okay? So in terms of the nature of communication, when we talk about lateral communication, ang kanina kong sinabi, 'di ba, ang lateral or vertical, it's more of really resolving issues kasi it's more of a collaborative effort. So that's why yung communication is more of collaborative in nature siya. Now, with the downward communication, since this is coming from superior or someone who has this authority, it's nature of communication is more of directive. So more of parang nanguutos, giving instructions or orders. Now, in terms of upward communication, meaning the information will initiate from the superior to the subordinate, the nature of communication is more of participative, meaning pwedeng nag-ask ng question or ng insights or ng feedback si superior, then yung communication from the subordinate, it's more of a participative in nature. Okay, so that's why pagdating naman sa purpose, since sa lateral communications siya ay collaborative, no, sabi nga natin, ang kanyang purpose is to what? Obtain information, exchange ideas, achieve common goals, and eventually solve problems or issues, which is, I think, kanina na-discuss ko naman. Collaborative effort talaga siya. Now, in terms of a directive nature of communication under downward, no, the purpose of this communication is to give orders, provide instructions, provide guidelines, inform, and assign responsibility. So more on giving instructions really, or giving directions. Now, pagdating sa upward communication, ang purpose na is to, since this is a more of a participative in nature, the purpose of this communication is to provide ideas, give feedback, make complaints, and offer suggestions. Okay? So sa audit report, yung communication natin that we give recommendation, so it's more of an upward communication. Okay? Not a directive, more of participative siya. Kasi we are trying to tell to the top management the recommendations that we need to that we intend to communicate to help the organization resolve their issues or problems. Okay? Okay, baka sabihin niyo, "Sir, eh, 'di ba dapat siya lateral communication kasi dapat doon yung nagso-solve ka ng problems." Of course, tama naman 'yun. Pero remember that time 'no, yung pag-come up mo ng recommendation, before you come up to that recommendation, you do some collaborative effort to identify what is the best recommendation that you can give to the client with regard to the finding. Now, yung pag-communicate mo sa top management to address the issue, it's more of participative kasi you are just recommending. Remember, you are just recommending. It is not an absolute plan of action. Kasi nga, mamimili pa or magde-decide pa si top management kung anong finding yung kanyang pipiliin to best address the issue. Okay, so nakita niyo yung delineation between the two. Okay, now, in terms of frequency, the same goes lang naman across all. Now, in terms of speed, mas mabilis talaga ang lateral at downward communication kasi remember with lateral, manager to manager. So, madaling mag-usap yan. Now, with downward, madali na magbigay ng instruction pababa. Ang mahirap is what? Or usually slow ang speed ng communication kapag upward kasi it comes from subordinate going to the superior. Si superior kasi, bago pag mag-decide yan, mamimili pa yan. Hindi agad yan makapag-decide. Now, in terms of effectiveness, they are usually immediate naman. Unlike with upward, since slow ang kanyang communication, yung speed ng communication niya, with upward, usually limited yung effectiveness niya. Kasi, let's say for example kanina, kung mamimili pa lang si superior sa list of all the recommendations, matagal talaga siya. And yung effectiveness niya, usually limited. Minsan nga, hindi masusunod kung ano yung recommendation ni auditor. Of course, it's the top management um, that will supersede kasi sila yung mas nakakaalam ng proseso. Kasi baka mamaya may alam silang mas tama namang action na pwedeng gawin to address the issue. Kasi si auditor, of course, based on our understanding lang, kung ano yung pwede nating i-recommend based from our understanding. Okay? So, ganun siya. So, hopefully, naiintindihan tong part na 'to. So now we go the types of communication. So ito naman, I think familiar naman na kayo pero sige, let's discuss this one also, no. So there are four types of communication. So una, we have what we call the verbal communication. So usually when we speak of verbal communication, it involves spoken words. Okay? Either it can be in person or face to face or pwede namang through digital communication tools such as tulad ngayon, no, video conferencing tayo through Teams. So pwede rin naman through phone calls. Pero of course wala na yung phone calls ngayon kasi ang uso na ngayon is what messenger call. So eto, no, I've seen this article no from the Toastmasters International on how to improve your communication in terms of verbal, non-verbal, visual, and written. Now, hopefully this will also be very helpful sa atin. No? Una, yung verbal. Yung verbal communication, guys, to make it more effective, we can use strong and confident voice. Hindi strong words ha, strong voice. Okay? And confident voice. So meaning when you try to be confident and you use a strong voice, no, it exudes exudes, no, ang lalim. Somehow that you know what you are trying to report. Okay? So may times of course pag verbal, maraming fillers tayong ginagamit just to make the story longer, no? Pero guys, siguro naman, no, maililigtas nyo naman ako dito. Of course, I'm doing discussion sa inyo. May mga times, of course, may mga filler akong discussion just to give context on what I'm trying to convey to you. Okay? So, kunwari may mga sineset na examples. So, kailangan kasi para at least maintindihan nyo yung mga some key points that we are discussing in this subject, no? And of course, wag tayo masyadong believe din kapag we use jargon or highfalutin words. So as much as possible, use words na kapag when you do verbal communication that are easily um, or easily that would be can be comprehended by your audience. Kasi ang hirap kapag you're using technical words. So baka mamaya wala na nakaintindi sa'yo, ikaw na lang nakaintindi. Okay? So may gano'n ako experience before, hindi ako ha, yung mga nag-present na they use very technical words, ending napagalitan kasi wala ngang naintindihan. Example, um, well, this experience ko ha, sa IT department na nagpe-present sila, they use really technical words. Now the board are not really that very familiar with the IT words. So nung nag-present sila, napagalitan sila kasi of course, the board want to make some decisions with regard to IT department na how can they create decision without understanding what the IT department wants to implement. So very important or crucial yung mga systems analyst 'no. So yan, FYI, si systems analyst ay nandiyan to help the IT department to convey what message they want to intend to um, what they intend to um, convey. Okay? Okay? Importante kasi 'yon. Okay? So sa atin as auditors, yes, we know a lot of words, no, jargons, pero when we try to communicate, especially board of directors or trustees or board equivalent, no, don't use jargons, no. And of course, if you're talking to those kind of people, really their time is really precious. So avoid using filler words, no. Direct to the point ng discussion pag ganun. Pero sa akin okay lang, we are discussing, no, to better appreciate your subject. Okay, now, also, you need to listen actively. Okay? So, hindi lang enough na minsan seta ka sa harap na you do not engage with active listening. Meaning, dapat you try to adjust with the situation na meron sa audience mo, no? So, ganun. If there are any questions, so magandang mag-engage tayo. Okay? So, minsan may mga non-verbal cues. So, baka mamaya it sends signal to us na we might, kunwari, example, no? There are a lot of yawning, tama ba? Yawning, no? Maraming humihikab. So, ibig sabihin boring na yung ano mo, yung discussion mo. So, as much as possible, baka pwedeng magkaroon ka ng icebreaker or magkaroon ka ng in-between breaks. So, yun. That engages in active listening. Okay? So, good thing also, if you're doing verbal communication, one good practice is to have a summary of what you have discussed so far. Para at least at the end of your discussion, um, what you have pointed during the discussion will be reviewed at the end. Okay, and you can throw questions or ask questions to check or to have a knowledge check if your audience is really getting your message. Okay, so that is one of the tips, or these are the several tips being given by Toastmasters International. Okay, the next type of communication is what we call the nonverbal communication. With the nonverbal communication, it includes, sabi natin po kanina, spoken words. Eto, non-spoken words. So, meaning, it includes body language, pwede rin namang facial communication, facial expression rather, and other physical cues. So, sabi nga natin, no, yung body language na rin, pag may inaantok na sa discussion mo, kita mo nag-yawn na, humihikab na, so it's a signal na the discussion is getting boring. So that is a non-verbal communication sa part mo na nakita mo as you're the speaker. Okay? Next would be yung nakapamaywang, no? Pag nakapamaywang na yung tao, ibig sabihin, possible, yun yung pwede nating i-read dito na hindi na interested yung tao. Okay? Yun yung body language na pwede nating tingnan pag nakapamaywang. Kapag ang tao, no, his hands are behind his body, meaning feeling uneasy or not comfortable yung taong nasa harap. Pwedeng kinakabahan, okay? Pwedeng ganun. So those are the body language. Now, in terms of facial expression, madali ang basahin ng topic facial expression unless kayo magtago, no? Example, yung tumataas na yung kilay. So, meaning pwedeng not interested anymore yung tao. Or medyo questionable sa tao yung discussion. Okay, so that is a facial expression. Also, kapag frown na yung mukha, yung alam mong yung kanyang bibig ay naka-down na yung smile. So, pwedeng not happy or angry na siya. So, pwedeng iba-iba yung basa natin. Okay? So those are the things that we can have in terms of nonverbal communications. Now, with the Toastmasters International tip, no, sabi nila, notice how you emote physically. Okay? So maganda guys na during your kunwari, during you have your verbal comms, no, kunwari nagpe-present ka, may mga non-verbal cues ka, you should notice how you emote physically. So maganda na before you do presentation, no, you do practice in front of a mirror. So yun yung common na advice na nakuha natin sa ating mga speech com professors or teachers, no. You should um practice in front of the mirror and notice how you emote physically. Doon mo makikita kung may mannerism ka. Puwede kasing hindi siya mannerism, puwedeng naturally occurring siya sa'yo na kunwari if you want to emphasize a matter, 'no, puwedeng you do some hand gestures, which is okay. Meaning you are, pointing out something. So that is somehow an effective way of, giving nonverbal, cues or gestures that you are pointing out something important, okay? So the same goes, be intentional about nonverbal gestures. So kung talagang if you're really putting emphasis on that matter during your discussion, so dapat ganon, you really intend na you really are pointing out something. Hindi yung naging ano na siya mannerism. So parang may mali na. Okay? So hindi pwedeng ganon ka ng ganon. So lahat ng sinasabi mo ay may point. So litong-lito na yung mga tao. So be intentional about your nonverbal gestures, no? So ganon. Sorry, nawala tayo. So also, use nonverbal gestures you find effective. So one way nga sabi nga natin is through hand gestures, no, pointing out something. So isang example 'yon. Pwede rin namang um, you're discussing in front of a class, no? You do some rounds, no? So umikot-ikot ka. So effective 'yun in a way, ha, just to draw the attention of your listeners. Meaning you are really serious about this matter. You want to discuss this in a class na dapat maintindihan to. So you do some rounds. Okay? So those are nonverbal comms, no? Yung umiikot ka lang sa klase. Pwedeng umiikot ka sa likod, no? Usually ginagawa ng professors 'yun most likely. Pwedeng naglalakad siya sa gitna ng third and fourth row. So may mga ganon. Okay? So effective 'yun most of the time if you want to draw the attention of your listeners. Now, we go with the third type of communication, which we call written communication. And when we talk about written communication, it encompasses what, no? Kanina verbal, spoken words. Ito naman written words. So it encompasses what? Reports. So written reports, diba? Written report siya, no? Or written comms through reports. We also have emails. We also do have memos, and we also do have also other forms of written correspondence. Okay? So, yan. Basically, pag nakasulat, written com, alam nyo na yan. So, these are the tips that we have from Toastmasters International. So, just like with verbal com, so, sabi natin, no, avoid technical words or jargon. So, use simple, easy to understand language. So, sa atin, walang problema. Kasi, of course, we need to check din yung audience natin. Pero most of the time, we use as a universal language sa atin sa Philippines is what? English. Okay, sa verbal guys ha, sabi ko naman, I'm very clear with this one. Pwede ka namang mag-English. Pwede ka rin mag-Taglish. If you're more comfortable with Taglish, it's just okay. Ang importante with this subject is that you can express yourself freely in front of a people. Kasi it's more of really presenting it in front. And how confident are you in presenting it in front of the people? Ganun siya. Ngayon kung at ease ka sa Taglish, it's just okay, walang problema. Ngayon 'pag written guys, eto lang yung magiging requirement ko sa inyo, dapat i-English siya, ha. Pero 'pag verbal, okay lang na Taglish. Pero yung written, of course with the writing workshops that we'll be having, may ample time naman kayo to, think and of course finalize what you, formulate in your head and write it in your, report. So, yun talaga sa written, English talaga tayo, ha. So yun lang. Now, remember with your written report, since maraming magbabasa nito and may record kasi ang written eh. So make sure that after you before you send your report to someone who will read your report, make sure that there should be a review. Now, pagdating sa audit kasi, good thing, we have supervision. So there's a review. So yung audit report mo, review pa yan ng audit supervisor mo, ng audit manager, and even the chief audit executive before we can send it out. Pero if you want your written report to be seamless, so ibig sabihin pwedeng minsan kasi pag confident na sa'yo yung CAC, ibigay mo na yan, issue mo na yan. So na-build mo na yung ganung kind of trust. So ibig sabihin, the way you do report, talagang pulido na. Pero to make sure na pulido, make sure na i-review mo rin before you send out to someone who is higher to you, who will do the review. So ikaw muna mag-review. Kasi ang mahirap niyan kapag kunwari hindi mo na-review tapos maraming mali, babalik din sa'yo, i-revise mo rin. So make sure na kapag before mo send out yan, i-review mo na. At least kung may babalik sa'yo, siguro minimal na lang sana yung mga revision. So alam mo kasing kapag binasa mo, may babalik sa'yo. So why not, during the time that you are drafting the report, itama mo na kung ano yung kaya mong itama. Para pagbalik sa'yo, konting-konti lang, minimal ano na lang, corrections. Okay? Also, eto lalo to, helpful tong pag-write ng report is to have a wide vocabulary. So it's really helpful to read regularly to improve your writing. So pwede tayong magbasa-basa ng libro. Ako, di naman ako talaga bookworm, no, pero I read the book somehow, siguro every quarter. May mini-read akong book. So at least somehow nakakatulong talaga siya in terms of, getting the perspective of other people from what you currently have. At least nababago yung ano mo, yung thinking mo. And your vocabulary will definitely be enriched by these terms that are present in the book. So minsan may mga words akong kunwari hindi ko naintindihan, so titingin ako sa dictionary at least naintindihan ko na siya. Okay? So maganda 'yon kasi it can widen your vocabulary by reading books, no? Aside from reading auditing books. Okay? Next, another type of communication, ang dami, no? Visual. So itong visual lang naman problema to sa inyo kasi yung generation nyo, you are all, I think, visual learners, no? Please do mindful of such visual communication that you need to consider your audience. But before that pala, no, let me give an example of what visual communication may look like. No, example would be the use of alam niyo to, bars, charts, pwedeng visual aids to convey information, anything that would represents visuals. No, so pwedeng lessen yung words through photos na lang yung or visuals na lang yung representation mo. Sabi nga natin, sabi nga natin, no, gasgas na 'tong kasabihan nito, no, pictures or photos can speak 1,000 words, no. So tama naman yung sinabi ko, no. So pwede kasing, 'di ba alam niyo yung flowchart, puwedeng sinulat yan on a two-pager pero kapag binasa mo yung narrative ang haba-haba. Kasi nga yung visuals pwede niyang i-represent yung 1,000 words. Okay, now if you're going to use visual, sabi sa Toastmasters International, you need to consider your audience. Hindi lahat kasi ng pagre-reportan mo would really appreciate visual. So ang usually makakapag-appreciate ng visuals mo will be your audience that are coming from kayo generation Gen Z, millennials, and some puwede rin ng boomers, pero older than that, medyo mahihirapan silang i-appreciate ang visual. If that is the case, you have that kind of audience, so better to have your visual be supported by narrative, not just to understand what you're trying to report. Okay? Lalo na if you're going to use sophisticated visuals, like kunwari, you use histograms, you use Pareto charts, so hindi nila alam yan. Or Pareto graphs, no? Pero kung most of your audience are boomers, so baka pwede ng table, pwede na yon. Okay? So example lang yon. So of course, you will only use visuals if they add value. If not, kung wala naman talaga, kunwari, kung burloloy lang naman siya, wala naman talaga siyang, hindi siya makakapag-aid in understanding your comms, so better not use visuals. Baka better yung mga simple na lang na mga table or even narratives. Baka narrative lang na napakaiksi, enough na yun. No, you don't need to to use visuals to try to convey your message, no? Also use clear, impactful, and easy to understand visual. So whatever the objective of your comms, dapat yung gagamitin mong visuals, dapat it aligns to the objective of your comms. Example, if you want to report cause and effect, so magandang use visuals such as Ishikawa, no? Example lang yan, um, and other visuals, no? Pwedeng Pareto chart, no? If you want to determine what's causing 80% of the impact, no? Which is represented by the 20% of the cost. So yun, kung ganun yung objective mo, then you can use Pareto chart in that kind of situation. It will depend on what you're trying to convey to your message, no? Kung causal ba, kung ibang objective ba, then you use other visuals. Okay? So those are the types of comms. Now we go with the problems in communication. So please do take note that in internal auditing, recognizing and addressing communication problems is really crucial, very important or crucial to ensure that the audit findings and eventually yung recommendations that we'll be having are clearly understood, accurately interpreted, and effectively acted upon. So kung may problems sa communication, so for sure may problema na sa bigyan natin ng recommendation and the action plan that needs to be taken in resolving such issue. So what are the common problems? Una, yung barriers na tinatawag yung barriers na tinatawag natin. And we have three types of barriers. Una, of course, ang kilala natin is the language barrier. Sa Philippines, wala namang problema kasi as a medium of instruction, even in universities or even in work, no, English naman kasi talaga yung ating ginagamit na language in communication. Now, what if there are stakeholders that are wherein their nationalities or they are based from other countries that wherein hindi heavily used ang English. Let's say for example, Japan, Korea. So I think yung iba sa inyo siguro kung nakapunta na try na makipag-communicate sa kanila using English. Most of the time kapag sa mga suburbs, no, mahirap gamitin yung English kasi kahit complete yung English sentence mo, hindi pa rin nila maintindihan. So as an alternative, no, I use English Carabao. So supposedly dapat complete sentence siya or phrase, nagiging Baroque English na. Okay, so minsan ganun. So in terms of audit, as much as possible, no, kung may way na if you have this Chinese, kunwari Chinese na mga stakeholders, alam naman natin hindi lahat ng Chinese is really proficient in English, then might as well you need to translate such communication to Chinese language. So pwedeng ganun. Okay? Kung may ganung language barrier. Okay? Pero kung wala namang problema sa mga stakeholder mo kahit Chinese sila at nakakaintindi naman ng English, then there's no problem in terms of language difference, no? So okay pa rin gamitin. So please do consider your audience as well. Next barrier is what we call the cultural barrier or cultural misunderstandings. So there could be some communications that are acceptable, no, sa ating culture, but in other culture it is not. Example, no, to pay respects to our if ever, no, if there are any Muslim brothers or sisters here, no, alam naman natin na when we pay respects to Muslim, hindi acceptable yung lalo na kung man and woman yung magpipay ng respects. Handshake is a no-no, no? So sa atin sa Philippines, okay lang yung handshake or not, or shake hand, no? Pero sa kanila, if paying respects, no, a proper way is nodding heads na lang. Okay na yon. Okay? So you also want to consider also your audience, no? Kung may mga cultural different cultural background. So you need to consider them. Kasi there could be some acceptable norms sa atin pero sa kanila unacceptable. So you need to consider that. Okay? Kasi I have this experience before kasi we do some visits in Malaysia and before nung I work with bank I have some um communication with our Malaysian counterpart. So most of the time we do speak in English, pero of course we need to know their background or cultural backgrounds as well, so that everything that we can communicate is somehow compliant with their norms, no? So mahirap kasi kapag you utter a word that is not compliant with their cultural norms. So mahirap yun. Magkakaroon ng misunderstanding. Next, another type of barrier is using jargons. So again, na-mention ko siya kanina, no? As much as we can, use simple words or sentence. We don't need to impress here. We don't need to use highfalutin words, technical words just to impress. Minsan nga kabalitan pa yung mangyayari. Okay? So instead of using jargons, use kunwari if you cannot really put it in simple words, then you can provide context naman, just to make sure that the jargon word that you're going to discuss is properly contextualized. So yun yung ibig natin sabihin dito. So yan ha, parang two-way na yung ginagawa ko, no? I'm discussing the problem and I'm also discussing what can be the resolution to this kind of problems, no? But then again, don't use jargons. Yun yung importante dito. Okay, next. The next problem, no? The major category, misinterpretation. So this occurs when the receiver of the message understand it differently, no, or understand the message differently from what the sender wants to convey. So this can happen possibly due to sa part ng sender is that may unclear wording, pwedeng may vague or ambiguous instructions, pwedeng sa part ng sender may assumption na siyang ginawa. Kaya tuloy iba yung naging understanding niya nung tinanggap niya yung receiver. So pwedeng may nangyaring preconception or personal bias pagdating sa sender. So that's why it's very important in internal auditing that we want to lessen this kind of misinterpretation, lalo na if you're presenting results or recommendation. Kasi kung magkakaroon ng misinterpretation dahil nga hindi clear ang ating mga wordings or ating mga findings, it could lead to what incorrect actions that will be taken by the client. So nagkaroon na agad ng misalignment. Kasi nagkaroon pa lang doon sa part ng misinterpretation sa understanding nila sa findings mo. Okay? So really, misinterpretation is one of the problems really. So dapat when the auditor will discuss or convey a message or a finding, no, or communicate a finding, so dapat clearly maintindihan talaga to ng client so that yung action na gagawin nila would in the case of internal auditing, we don't want our clients to be bombarded by information. So remember, most of the time, lalo na if you're going to present to a board of directors, they don't want information that are overwhelming. So sabi nga natin, we shall report audit report, pwedeng detailed report siya, then there's a executive summary. So most likely, kapag board of directors, ang babasahin niya executive summary. So what are the key points there? Ano yung mga important highlights? So yun yung titignan niya. Now, if we're presenting to our client or audit client during closing or exit meeting, no, we shall present information na not too detailed din. So kung ano lang yung parang very necessary to explain the findings that you want to discuss with your audit client. Okay? Kaya nga kapag too much ang information, yung receiver ma-overwhelm in a way, mahirap niya yang maipa-process. Lalo na kung hahanapin niya rin yung mga important key points. Now, ang mahirap nga sabi ko with internal audit report kapag overly detailed siya or if it contains multiple complex issues, no? Without clear prioritization, so magiging sabog ang audit report natin. So just like with risk assessment process, 'di ba? Remember we do risk prioritization. So we do prioritize yung mga high risk areas. Pagdating sa internal audit report, when you try to wrap up your engagement, ang pagka-present mo dapat ng audit report mo, una muna yung mga high risk areas. and then mga medium, and then less risk. So at least with that prioritization, yung mga complex issues mo, mako-compartmentalize mong maigi. Maintindihan ka lalo ng reader of your findings. So also problem with overloading of information, it can create confusion, missed details, and failure to act on critical findings kasi hindi nga nila maintindihan kung nasaan talaga yung key points or your key findings. So this will reduce the effectiveness of our report or our function. Okay, so kaya nga sabi nga natin na dapat effective communicators talaga tayo to make sure that the audit function really functions. Okay? So yun. So those are the problems in communication. So now we go with the solutions to communication problems. So I think some of it, no, I already mentioned it, no. So in here by prioritizing clarification, no, simplification, and the feedback loop, internal auditors can enhance their effectiveness, no, in terms of communication. This not only ensures that the audit findings and recommendations are accurately understood, but also contributes to the overall success of the organizational improvements. So, yung una, yung clarification. So, when we talk about clarification in here, it is a process of ensuring that the sender and the receiver have a mutual understanding of the message. So, wag wag sasamang loob kapag maraming tanong ang audit client. They are there to really understand what you try to point out there. Kung ano yung finding mo. Kasi kung talagang valid finding yan, most of the time naman willing naman sila i-correct yan. Pero kasi kung hindi talaga siya valid finding, then they will really do rebuttals na hindi siya valid finding. So may mga ganyan sa audit. Okay? So, yun. So in the context of audit, no, this is crucial also because miscommunication can lead to incorrect conclusion and actions that do not address the audit findings. So, importante ang clarification. Kasi maaaring ang sabi mo, this is your finding, tapos di naman nagtatanong si client, tapos nung kamukad-mukad afterwards, no, they try to address the finding. Pero hindi naman pala talaga na-address yung finding kasi in the first place, hindi pala siya valid finding. So there's already a gap or a miscommunication. So that's why clarification is really important. So how do we engage with clarification? So asking questions, pwedeng in case of hindi talaga maintindihan ni client, we can do some paraphrasing or to explain it in simpler terms, no? Mga ganun. Okay? Now, in terms of simplification, sabi nga natin, if we want our client to understand us, then use simple words. Meaning simplification also may come in form of having complex issues that are break down into more understandable parts, or that's what we call compartmentalize. Wag masyadong focus sa complex na issue. I-ano natin, i-breakdown pa natin para naintindihan natin bawat part that makes up that complex issue. And with that type of reporting, pag na-breakdown natin into smaller understandable parts, no, then most likely your communication is clear or clearer as compared before. Lalo na kung sa audit, no, kung may mga technical or specialized tayong areas na tinitingnan, so simplifying communications is essential to ensure that all stakeholders, regardless of their background, can understand and act on the information provided. So one way also to simplify, do not use jargon words. Yun lang talaga yun. So how do we simplify? You can use plain language. Again, breakdown information. Pwede ring kung talagang very technical siya, na-breakdown mo na siya, kung better na gamitin yung visual aids, then good. Better din yun. O example, blockchain technology. Hindi yan maintindihan ng boomer. So better to use visual aids to understand what blockchain technology is. Okay? The same goes, sige, okay na pala yan. Nabanggit ka na pala. So next will be feedback loop. So I think sinabi ko kanina example, ha? So it's better to have a feedback loop. Kahit acknowledge lang, kahit naintindihan mo siya, i-acknowledge mo lang siya, at least you do some acknowledgement that you really understand the process or the what is being communicated or what was communicated to you rather. Okay? So the same goes pwedeng form of feedback loop to. So medyo nag-overlap clarification is asking question. Di ba remember, asking question by the receiver of the information is a form of feedback loop, which is also a clarification. So medyo nag-overlap siya. But sabi nga natin, it also encompasses giving somehow kahit acknowledgement man lang. So feedback loop is actually a process where the receiver of a message is encouraged to respond, confirming their understanding, pwedeng confirming their understanding ha, and even providing their perspective. So that's a good thing with giving feedback loop. So it has different objectives, no? Confirming understanding and giving another perspective. Kasi remember, example to would be your defense in research, di ba? You will have your oral defense. So maring you've exhausted all your efforts to create your research paper. Pero of course, as a feedback loop, no, through the panel defense, magbibigay pa sila ng mga comments that would eventually improve your more sensible. Okay, so mga ganun. So that's why dito importante ring we somehow give feedback. Okay, importante 'yan. Okay? And that ends no yung solution to communication problems. Yung ating slide for communication process. So now we need to discuss also effective listening skills no. So very important din to sa part ni receiver. Hindi siya just merely uh, listen lang talaga sa mga bagay-bagay whenever there is a discussion. So very essential din to sa part ng internal auditors to perform their roles effectively. Lalo na sa part ng data gathering wherein we do some inquiry, we do some interview, we do some inspection of documents, no? Hindi lang yung receive lang tayo ng receive. We also do ask questions to clarify and to challenge the current process. So yun naman talaga yun. So by practicing these skills, no, auditors can ensure that they fully will understand no the information provided by stakeholders. Eventually, fully understand in a sense na, di ba remember, as auditors, we shall uphold the highest level talaga, no? Or high level na lang of professional skepticism. So meaning dapat skeptical tayo. Hindi porket sinabi ni ganito, maniniwala na agad tayo. Tulad ng 'pag sinabihan ka ng I love you, totoong mahal ka. Puwedeng hindi 'yun totoo. Kasi puwedeng actions contradict words, 'no? Gano'n din with the client. Puwedeng they say na merong ganito, pero when you check, when you observe, hindi naman present. So, there's an absence of control. So, doon pa lang contradicting na, 'no? So, this is crucial to have effective listening skills as well. Okay? So, if you have effective listening skills, eventually you as the auditor will have more accurate and insightful audit findings, and there will be more a collaborative and trusting audit environment. So now we go with the first listening skill, no? Yung type of listening skill which we call active listening. When we talk of active listening, it is a foundation of effective communication, especially in the context of internal auditing. So in here, it involves fully engaging yourself to the speaker or concentrating to what the speaker uh, tells, no? And understanding their message, responding thoughtfully, and remembering what they said. Okay? So, ito guys, no, kagandahan when you're the auditor and you want to understand the process. So, you try to listen to your interviewee. Okay? Para maintindihan yung process. Then, one of the features of active listening is to do summary. So hindi verbatim na summary. Hindi mo ulitin yung sinabi niya, pero at least lalo na kung medyo mahaba yung discussion. So kung nag-explain siya, see to it at the end of his or her discussion explanation, you do some summary points para at least to reiterate kung may mga na-miss out ka na important key points, which is very crucial pagdating sa audit. Okay? So ito sinasabi natin, just like with to have an effective listening skills, it's just this active listening goes beyond hearing the words, no? So usually kasi dapat ang speaker i-ensure niya rin that the message is received as also as intended. Okay? So with the listener, dapat focus sa speaker. Dapat si listener, anong tawag dito? Avoid interruption. So kapag nagsasalita si interviewee, no, hayaan niyo lang magsalita hanggang sa matapos. Kasi baka may i-raise kang question, sasabihin pa lang kasi ni interviewee. So hintayin mong matapos siya mag-discuss, doon ka mag-raise. Tingnan mo kung yung question mo would make sense to raise it pa anymore. Kasi baka mamaya hindi na kailangan. Kasi kung may mga questions na hindi pa rin nasasagot through the discussion, then pwede natin i-raise sa dulo. At least it will save time as well. Okay? So also, during the listening phase, no, habang nagdi-discuss si speaker, do some feedback, no, by kahit simple nodding lang, or if the speaker is trying to make a point, pwedeng magbigay ng feedback such as I see, or if you agree with some of his or her points, pwedeng acknowledge, pwedeng sabihin natin that makes sense, or kunwari may mga eureka moments ka or aha moments, so pwede ka magsabi ng aha, de joke lang. Pwede kang magsabi ng, "Oh, that makes sense," 'no? So kaya pala may gano'n kaming na-encounter na situation. So providing feedback is also highly encouraged in active listening. Of course, sabi nga natin, no, kanina avoid interruption kasi dapat at the end of the discussion, you can ask for clarificatory questions or clarifying questions. Okay? So just to better understand what has been discussed by the speaker. Okay? See to it that your questions are really valid, no, or a question that is not for the sake of may masabi lang. Okay? Meaning dapat when you try to ask questions, there will be no misunderstanding. Okay? Okay, the next type of effective listening, the next effective listening skills that the auditor should have, no, we have here the empathetic listening. Yung empathetic, you put yourselves in the shoes of um the speaker so that you can feel the pain, the feelings, the emotions, and even the perspectives and motivation. So ito applicable din to sa mga fraud accountants or forensic examiners kasi or fraud examiners kasi in interrogation kasi maganda kung makukuha mo yung loob ng person involved in that fraudulent activity. Kasi lalo na kung nag-open up, then good. Kasi when you get I mean kapag nag-express na siya ng emotions niya, ng kanyang mga um, insights about that kasi being emotional na siya. So mas madali kay fraud auditor na or kay examiner na makuha yung mga pieces of evidence from the statement or testimony of that person involved. Okay? So, kay auditor naman, to build that kind of trust or rapport to the client, magandang you engage also with empathetic listening. Kasi pag pinapakita mo, naintindihan mo yung kliyente, most likely baka mag-open up yan. And it will lead to some, perspectives na hindi mo nakita before. Pwedeng nag-open up ng finding. Yun lang, no? Parang ang dating, of course, magiging ano siya 'no, well, basically kung talagang valid financials, then we need to present it as a valid finding. Okay, so gano'n siya. So magandang engage natin yung sarili natin with our client in having empathetic listening. Okay, so we need to connect with the emotions and even the contextual background of the speaker's message. Kasi nga it will build trust and rapport. So with empathetic listening, you need to acknowledge emotions. Of course, also holds true with fraud examination na kapag ang fraud examiner may kinig ng um, testimony, no, ni perpetrator or any suspect, no, we need to avoid judgment kasi baka lalo mag-withhold or mag-hold yan ng emotions or mag-hold ng important information. So we need to avoid judgment in this case, in this kind of empathetic listening. Okay? Also, we need to respond with compassion, meaning if the client goes emotional, no, lalo na kung baka mamaya meron nga talaga nangyaring kakaiba with the client na fraud, no, um, but merely just saying, I understand why you feel that way. that sounds difficult for you, no, it can somehow give comfort to the speaker and pwedeng mag-open up pa. Okay. And also, through empathetic listening, clients will give more or build, it can allow trust, or sorry, it will build rapport. Yun yung kanina ko pa sinasabi. Okay, now, the last one is what we call the critical listening. So meaning guys, with critical listening, it's just not merely you listen also, take it as it is, kung ano sabi ng client, but rather you need to evaluate the content of the message, no, to assess the validity, relevance, and importance of that message. Lalo na kung may makinuha kang representation from the client. Kunwari, may nangyaring issue or problem, then you get the insights or the testimony of different parties. Then you evaluate the testimony of those person or people, and then you assess the validity and relevance. So doon mo makikita kung may mga contradicting representation. Kasi very crucial siya. Kasi with this critical listening, as auditors, no, through experience as well, you'll be able to distinguish what is fact, what is opinion, and what is just e-bias lang. Okay? So remember, in audit, we base our opinion or our conclusion based from facts. So dapat hindi tayo magbe-base ng ating opinion or conclusion sa opinion lang din. Remember, in audit, no, our audit opinion is based from facts, not coming from another opinion. So yung opinion natin, ano siya, intelligent opinion. Unlike with the opinion given by the other person or the one we do interview, pwede kasing opinion na yun, it's more on an opinion na bias siya. Okay? Pwede kasing hindi niya gusto yung tao kaya siya yung may binabanggit siyang tao na pinag-iinitan niya. Okay? So, at this point in time, dapat kung ano pinagkaiba ng facts, opinion, and even bias. Okay, now with critical listening, no, as mentioned, whatever has been communicated to you, there should be critical evaluation. So, you need to have a critical evaluation of the evidence. Okay? And you need also to distinguish again facts and opinion, and identify biases, and if ever, ask probing questions if ever there are any instances of contradicting statements. So at least through probing questions, malalaman natin kung ano yung a fact and which is not a fact. Okay? Through asking, probing, or correct questions. Okay, and with that, no, if you have this kind of listening, so most likely you will you will have an effective listening skills, lalo na sa role natin as internal auditors, which is very crucial kasi we uses our five senses. Okay?